Welcome to another episode in this Quantum Human Summit series. This is expanding multi-dimensional awareness. Today's guest is Reverend Devi Grace. She is an archetypal oracle, and she is connected to the interdimensional realms. She too is a walk-in, and she is here with a specific mission for Sophia Gaia and all of us. This is Embodying Source's multidimensional divine union. This is a theme that's really present this year. Hi, Devi. Welcome. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. It's good to be back with this incredible community and all the other presenters that are part of this summit, this exciting spring of, late winter and early spring of 2024.
It is a beautiful day. It is a powerful time. And we are really feeling a shift going on. We are really feeling something much more than just this physical presence. And I believe that this is the ascension journey that so many of us are on. So when we're talking about expanding multidimensional awareness, this really means tuning. I know I get the chills because it's all right here, isn't it? It's all right here. We don't have to really reach up or out, or maybe we do. What does multidimensional awareness mean to you, and how do we navigate this?
Well, I would love to acknowledge the planet first,
Please.
because everything that's going to be conveyed, communicated, articulated, and shared through me today as that archetypal oracle. The primary archetype that is our base foundation is the resonant love within the body of Gaia Sophia. Now, her multidimensional name is Aramatena. And that means that she vibrates, even in her planetary body, on multiple dimensions of her consciousness. And so we really are best suited to embrace this biological ascension, following her lead. And therefore, we're organisms, we're part of her ecology. And so there is the realization that this planet is awakening, quite literally, to her multidimensional body with the entire galaxy. And so too can we follow suit. Automatena is in reference to this passage through the Lyran and the Andromedan stargates within her Pachamama vessel, so that she may galvanize herself and take her rightful place at the seat of her awakened planetary destiny within this Laniakea supercluster. So if you haven't ever seen a picture of the Laniakea supercluster, please go look that up from one of the telescopes, and it'll give you an appreciation for how the Milky Way galaxy is then positioned within these larger spiral galaxies that this basically consume the entire quadrant of this omniverse. So that's that map. And if we overlay the Laniakea supercluster on top of our bodies, then we begin to get the flavor or the essence of what multidimensionality can mean for us. And if we're going to tap into a metaphor of popular culture right now, Marvel Comics has out the theme of Madame Web, right? The female Spider-Woman. And so this is where we get into how do we embody inside of ourselves, because that's connected to nature, and the elements of the earth and the air and the wind and the fire, and that fifth element, that spirit molecule, these webs or lattices or grids or circuits of light, biospiritual anatomy within our bodies. So multidimensional in my lexicon, and being of service to the rising of consciousness within the body of the whole planet, is allowing us to go about this tantric dance with her, as she raises her vibratory frequency in the substrate of her, what we would call telluric, 1D, 2D, 3D, right? The radiance of that divinity in the body of the earth underneath us. then we can create that platform to expand our inner landscape and tap into what other traditions have referred to as that original multidimensional tree of life.
I'm going to share the
There you
image
go.
of the
Yes.
Mauna Kea supercluster. And so, talk a moment about this because what you're saying resonates so deeply, and we are part of this. And when we see
Yes.
this image, the Milky Way galaxy is in this image, and others can go Google other images and see exactly where it is, but this is us. So, share more
Yes.
on this beautiful image that we are part of.
Well, use your imagination and dive into this map and see all these different fractals of energy and light and consciousness. They're all interwoven. There's this net of Indra, or this fabric of consciousness, and this is, trillions and trillions of galaxies. So in that original tree of life constellation inside of our bodies, so too do we have infinite pathways for the energy to move through our cellular structures. But also you see those spaces that appear in darkness. And that is the radiance of also what quantum physics refers to as dark matter. So it's not just the white light. We also have that prima materia that they referred to as the alchemists, that quantum void space. And it's the balance of both the masculine light, which is visible light, and the light that's emanating from the void, which is the divine mother. And that is the quantum sea of infinite potential. So this is really a picture of a romance between the light and the essence that precedes that light that streams from the mysteries of the void. And so it's this love affair inside of the body of the entire universe that is all of these different interconnected tapestries that are all interlaced. And so that's why the best metaphor is the web of the spider. It's a web that is not just expressing the fibers of light and the seen and known world, it's also going into what we would call the unseen and the imaginal. And also, that's when we get into the mythic and the archetypal. Therefore, all these other parallel dimensions that are here for us to walk this species through this experience, they are supporting us in this canopy. And we are nested in this blue jewel within this much larger system of quantum intelligence. And it's all prized starting this 2024 to really begin to step forward and assist us on our greater quest.
Wow, it is so beautiful. And we've heard the universe is within us and as above, so below.
Yes.
So, wow. So, um, we are this. And so let's talk just a moment about, I don't want to get off track too much, but when you share that you're a walk-in, you already have multidimensional awareness because of this. And your walk-in story is extensive. And you're connected
Yes.
to the star nations. So,
We can look at the archetype of a walk-in
yeah.
as a natural progression in human evolution rather than the title or the concept, because I wouldn't desire somebody to go look up this term and only look at the more traditional definitions, because that can be exceptionally misleading.
Okay.
Therefore, I would love to reference it that I traveled from the quantum future. I traveled from this awakened earth where she's already vibrating in her 13th and 14th and 15th dimension as a unified whole, where all of these benevolent core values that all of the sacred traditions on the planet honor and uphold are actually physically expressing themselves amongst us as a universal citizenship of light. And then, as we reclaim this birthright as divine humans, we are able to then partner and connect with our other relatives or cosmic relations across the multiverse. So this Laniakea supercluster is reminding us of just how many other worlds of sentient intelligence there are for us to now interact and engage with. And many of us are star seeds, and we've traveled here from distant galaxies far, far away to reside within these human bodies. And we are their descendants. And therefore, their star fire and their stardust and their star essence has also traveled in and arrived with us. However, for most people on the planet, even if they've had a lot of spiritual awakenings, they haven't really been able to tap into the ancient of ancients within their bodies. And this is where we used to have access to all the stargates in a very cooperative and interconnected fashion that allowed all these different worlds to properly partner and collaborate with each other. That would mean open wormholes and portals available for interstellar commerce and the most incredible trade relations with all these other gifted species around the cosmos. So Earth has really been in this free will experiment bubble where we got to learn about the distinctions of stark contrast. And now we're opening back up to this greater alignment to our sky relatives and our extended star grandmothers and star grandfathers that have been with us for really millions and millions of years. Whether or not we remember it, it's in the deepest recesses of this internal universe that's pulsating inside of us.
Oh, that is so beautiful. So the next question that comes up is around the ancient of ancients within us, the universe within us, the stargates within us.
Yes.
Is it love that is the gateway, the key? How do we ignite these stargates? How do we open these stargates? How do we work with these stargates, activate? And what does that mean? Can you talk more on that?
Well, in all honesty, a lot of starseeds that might be listening to this right now, or starborns, you may have your memories of the unpleasantries of the previous stargates that were breached. And so when I am talking about stargates, please keep it in the present moment of the now, because I'm not asking to, re-stimulate old unpleasant memories. What keeps this in the pure love frequency is this embodiment of the quantum divine union. If we allow ourselves to complete the rites of passage that awaken us into that internal quantum sacred marriage state of consciousness, which we referred to back in December as this quantum hieroscamos, then you really have access to the fabric of a morphogenetic unified field. Inside of the fabric of a morphogenetic unified field, the balance of power between the masculine and feminine principles have been reached. And so there's no room for any duality to come in and interfere. And so the safety net for how to open a stargate that is incapable of being hijacked is this incredible technology of the original divine human blueprint from what we will call the mother father source code. That's the primordial first mother of us all, the primordial first father of us all, and their alchemical sacred fusion. The union is a fusion, and that's why we call it a tri-wave. You have the incoming energy of the divine father and the incoming energy of the divine mother, and then they coalesce and create that tri-wave or triskel that you see in Celtic shamanism. So we're evolving out of the binary systems. We're neutralizing those concepts of the Vesica Pisces and evolving and emerging into open systems with those triveka, which includes the divine child. So it's the divine mother, the divine father, and the divine child, or that alchemical birthing of this new love expression that has the trinitized grace or quantum trinitized grace. And therefore, that's the code word for this year of the phoenix and the dragon. And together, inside of all of those ancient mythologies, as the phoenix and dragon mate inside of us, they awaken this original quantum tree of life. So it's the prophecy of moving into the paradise matrix. And our code word for those of you, right, that run frequencies based on vibratory code words, this is called the Arc of Grace timeline. And it's the original promise that all else bows to the supreme power of grace. So yes, the laws of universal love are absolutely incorporated into this auspicious graduation. And let's just feel that third strand coming in, the love of the Divine Mother that knows itself and her divine masculine consort. And they create in this fabric of quantum physics a coatomic. And that is all electricity, the father, and all magnetism in the mother. And the way we access that plasma is that spark of grace. And that takes us back to eternal first creation, or that infinity spark. That's how you get a clean access to a stargate that can never be compromised. And that's what keeps us in that space of that divine innocence, so that all of those other polarized dichotomies that have been played out and all those other levels that experience some form of a dichotomy, they are neutralized because this spirals through that wormhole that goes all the way back to the ongoing moment of creation. So feel this arc of grace is a vessel through the heart of this divine marriage. One side is the phoenix and one side is the dragon. And as they consummate their love, the Gnostics referred to it as the bridal chamber, this opens up a wormhole in the middle of the original tree of life. And then that stargate starts to open, not just inside of the planet, it also starts to open inside of this biosphere inside of our own bodies. So we can experience this with the planet. So she has the power to get us started. So we're not feeling, intimidated by how do I, right, increase my vibratory resonance to get up that, velocity of light. And it's like, relax, my child. It's happening underneath your feet. Let the planet guide you through the process of the remembering, because the planet has never forgotten her rightful place in that Laniakea supercluster. She doesn't have the same veils that the people do. And so she traveled here and she has that Laniakea royal divine marriage, divine blueprint in her planetary body. And so if we commune with her in this promise of the rising arc of grace, phoenix and dragon metamorphosis, the equivalent of our species going from the caterpillar into the butterfly, this is the template that I am here to transmit and begin the initial or first, right, unveilings, this star date. So it's a lot to unpack, and I'll take a pregnant pause. Just let this land, not in your human left brain, go into that space of the magic and the mythos and the great legends, because this is the greatest story that will ever be told. The awakening of a planet that has gone into a state of amnesia and its resurrection process. So this is the Christos and Christas consciousness. This is the equivalent of a planetary resurrection. So it's quite delicious, but it's also huge. So, we unpack it in baby steps.
Yes, it's so huge and so What a beautiful story. What a beautiful expression that's happening. And it's happening within us and it's happening for our planet. And it brings so much hope. When we look out at the external world, peek into the news, it's the farthest thing from this.
Oh,
But
yes.
this is the greatest thing on earth. So when we go
Yes.
into, I'm tearful here because I myself am remembering Gaia, how we care for Gaia. We came for Gaia. I know this. So what do? We simply go out into nature, commune with nature, um, let her speak to us on a multidimensional level. Can you share more and expand on this?
Yes. Thank you for the sweetness of your vulnerability. I know all of us feel this quiver that you just expressed. What your waters of light are showing is the reverence for her divine truth to us all. She agreed to house the free will experiment. So the first step is bowing in reverence of, oh my gosh, my lady, you actually are an awakened consciousness. And in order to give us this opportunity to embark on this free will quest, which is the quest of the Holy Grail, this is on a planetary scale, though, you gave us this constancy of this opportunity to choose fear or love in the landscape of choices. Therefore, her superpower of her planetary Holy Grail has been like a sleeping beauty. And John Lam Lash basically says this is the courtship. You know, Prince Charming comes to kiss and awaken, sleep in beauty. So we are the equivalent of Prince Charming. And in this courtship of romancing the beloved within the body of the planet, then we're serving to give her this divine love signal that we see her in this lens of this divine marriage that she is. If we go back into the Gnostic scrolls, Gaia Sophia, right? Gaia is an aspect of Sophia. And that's why she is equivalent to that white dove, the white phoenix, or the Bennu, an Egyptian mythology. And she has this beloved, this divine consort, and that's the galactic Christos, that is the logos of the monad. And this is akin to the Native American culture, where you have Mother Earth and Father Sky. And this beautiful tantra between the solar deity, the center of our galaxy, and the bride that is Mother Earth. And so it starts honoring this divine marriage, this quantum divine union in the body of the whole planet. Now, if you're familiar with Wicca or more of the earth-based spirituality, of course, Gaia's consort is the grain man. And yet when we're bringing in cosmic Christ consciousness, then it's going to be the galactic Gaia and the galactic grain man. And we're not relating to this out in nature as something outside of ourselves. So you can see that I'm actually mentioning 6 different fields of energy: the divine feminine and the divine masculine. It's in this romance and love affair within the body of the whole planet. This conscious feminine energy and conscious masculine energy within the body of the entire galaxy, right? The interstellar. And then that same landscape of the sacred God and goddess principles within us. That's a minimum of 6 circuits. And what happens inside of a medicine wheel is the center point, the 7th direction, brings it to union, above and below and before and behind and to the right and to the left. So there's your first multi-dimensional blueprint. The divine masculine and feminine within the earth, the divine masculine and feminine within the cosmos, and the divine masculine and feminine within us. Just start there. And that becomes like this triplet, this sacred union, trinitized, right? Quantum. It gets into orgasmic love. The reason that I shared this with Barbara Marks Hubbard before she transitioned at Hummingbird Ranch in New Mexico, she said, what is going to give the planet the signal to start the ascension? I said, we are. And she kind of looked at me at the most perplexed look of like, well, where did you get this information? I'm like, oh, well, I died multiple times and my primary conversation was with the soul of the whole planet. So I came back to translate this, right, as the voice of Gaia. And she said, I will mirror this self-love back to you. So human children of the original divine marriage in heaven, remember this Hieros Gamos, remember this sacred marriage of the beloveds within you, which will heal all of your ancestral trauma. Nice little benefit to that. And in this realization of adoring and loving and appreciating yourself through those eyes of divine innocence, unconditional self-acceptance for yourself as that divine child, then you don't fear the quantum great unknown, which is the equivalent of this planetary ascension that allows massive amounts of intergalactic and interstellar light into the body of the planet. And because we're open to receiving, right, there's zero fear left because there's no more ancestral trauma, then that phoenix and dragon primordial power can begin to swim through us in that alchemicalization of the phoenix circuitry and the dragon circuitry. Oh, my. And then we can start moving into those ecstatic waves, right, of integrated cellular organic light just gushing and undulating through us like the dolphins and the whales live and, right, exist, these undulating currents. So we become waves of liquid light. And so that's why there's this entire cooperative called the Arc of Grace timeline, where this is already dialed in. And therefore, that's the gift that was already pre-planned or is pre-planned so that humanity doesn't have to like figure this out and transcend all of the conflict, that there's this quantum leap that we can transition out of putting our energy and attention and focus on all of those schisms that are playing themselves out. We're on the fast track, right, of the 333,000 souls that incarnated in the Holy Grail soul family, and the 444,000 souls that incarnated in the original Tree of Life family, and then the 777,000 soul aspects that have agreed to receive this dispensation of grace from their Divine Mother and Divine Father, Sacred Holy Parents, in twin flame union at the ongoing moment of creation. It sounds like a fairy tale. However, truth is stranger than fiction. And that's it in a nutshell. So we can just continue to unpack what I just said and then have a personalized experience of it so people can begin to go, okay, we're opening up the doors now to the miracle and to the miraculous, because this is at the level of the quantum miraculous. And it's not my message. I humbly, right, I'm a conduit, an archetypal oracle for their message to all of us, for those that are ready. And it's a big deal.
Yes, it is a big deal. And it's comforting in the fact that the work, if we want to call it work, is simply honoring Gaia, honoring Gaia, being in awe of her journey, and this sixth circuit that you mentioned, the divine masculine and feminine of Gaia, the divine masculine and feminine of the galactic area, the galaxy, even more, and then within.
Yes.
Wow, so we can just feel that. So there's nothing really to do except get out of our head, really. I mean, or
Well,
or
there's
to,
also the space of the divine child that has infinite curiosity
okay, and we are the
and
divine child.
feeling this as a playground of significant discovery.
Okay.
So feel what it was like for Harry Potter to go to Hogwarts at age 11, you know? And Harry Potter said, I love magic, right? When they were at the Quidditch match and they pulled the whole tent, right, out of the purse. And his Harry Potter brain was like, this magic thing is amazing. So, what they're describing for us, let's just translate that through the heart of the child, we have this curiosity and excitation of what is the quantum divine union magic? And go into that concept of like, well, maybe that's why J.K. Rowling's wrote Harry Potter for the divine child within us all. And this whole planet gets to go off to Hogwarts and experience, right? Magic and miracles, quite literally. And we all know you must believe it before you see it. So this is a leap of faith that this quantum arc of grace timeline is a real blueprint. And through that curiosity of our journey of spending a tremendous amount of time in silence with nature, not just a walk on your headphones, bopping out to the latest, spirit rap, which we love, going back into hearing the hum, the music of the spheres, the sound of the wind, the rushing of the creeks, the caressing of the wildflowers on your skin. It's the bonding with the primordial nature essence, natura. So I was hearing nature and natura at the same moment, and rewilding ourselves, rewilding the feminine within us, rewilding the masculine within us, and coming into what Gillian Porter and Rian Katie called devotion. The Haros Gamos is only available through the path of devotion, and I actually 100% agree with their teachings. And so we become beloveds of this awakening planetary jewel, realizing that she is the one that's grounded enough for us to safely bring all of these strands of light, like a new vine of consciousness swimming through our bodies in a relaxed and surrendered state. So it's like cradling us into this remembrance and realization. And it's different than going out onto the planet and just agreeing to speak to this multiverse of light within her, as all traditional shamanic heritages on the planet do. It's the curiosity of you are a citizen of the Laniakea supercluster galaxy, and you are retaking your rightful place upon the throne of your destiny as a planet. We humans may relate to this process that you're going through a term that's been labeled ascension. It's really inscension. And so in going out to be with her, how do we go in to that crystalline core where these crystalline grids are pulsing inside of her, heart womb, which is the chamber of the twin flame within the whole planet, and go down there where all of these advanced civilizations of light, like Lemuria and Telos, are already living it. The surface dwellers, that's us, we're the last to kind of get the picture. Do you see what I mean? And if you can imagine this Ho'oponopono tradition, Hawaiian shamanism, I would highly recommend that we go and make amends for the mistakes of our ancestors that basically did not respect these crystalline stargates when they were open thousands and thousands of years ago, did not respect the telluric civilizations of light, the elves, the fae, the shining ones, the ever-living ones, because they already got this down. So the part of this planet that's already living it is underneath us in radiant, gorgeous paradise realities inside of this planet. Again, the closest thing to it is How to Train Your Dragon 3, where they went into, right, the dragon world inside of that inner earth cavern. And I wept when I saw that because I'm like, oh, the twin flame dragons go in and find the inner earth paradise. And that's literally what's underneath our feet. So let's just start there and not try to import it all from the as above, because that's not actually accurate. It's happening below us, right? They've already got it underneath our feet. And then these upper echelons, our interstellar relatives, are also elevating us into this right relationship of honor, integrity, and respect with this crystalline fabric of unified consciousness within us, which means the reconciliation of the male and female split within us all. And that's a huge undertaking because no one's to blame, because it's too, right, cataloged in transgenerational trauma. So if you want to look at the outside world and see what is all this? All that is, my child, is transgenerational trauma. That's all. You go, oh, okay. So the children of planet Earth went through a lot of really difficult stuff, and it caused the male and female energies to, right, temporarily fracture. And we're just going to put this thing back together again through the laws of grace. Okay, this is doable, right? They have a plan for us to heal all of that transgenerational trauma that we just see, right, playing itself out in all of those representations of conflict, internationally. That all came from the wound of the perceived separation from source, particularly perceived separation from the Divine Mother and perceived separation from the Divine Father. Because that's when the human race felt that they were left out of that love field. And then our actions, choices, and behaviors and decisions as a species drop down from that higher frequency of love's intelligence. So there's the translation of how we got to where we are today. In a nutshell.
Yes, what a big giant nut. What a big giant nut. And
Yeah.
yeah, all right. A part of, I mean, it's just so beautiful. It really is. I want to stay focused on connecting with inner earth. That's a whole nother summit series. We'll be really seriously. Um, yes, I mean, we're just waiting. We're waiting. We're waiting. A part of me wants to ask about war and conflict all across the galaxies. Is
Oh,
that
yes.
going to be healed as well? Because
Oh, yes.
give one, okay, good. Whew, that could give one
Oh, yes.
fair, because if everywhere, if war is out there in the galaxies, and it's been for all along, how the heck are we going to repair that? But that's this tri-wave, the arc of grace.
And
So,
the original tree of life.
okay.
The promise of the safety and sanctuary of heaven on earth as a gift, the divine child from the primordial mother father, source of all that is, has it all handled in the great mythic mysteries of how on earth are you going to take a world that's gone into extreme separation, and how on earth are you going to take, right? These lower 12 dimensions that fractured in the old tree of life. So 1D, 2D, 3D, 4D, 5D, 6D, 7D, 8D, 9D, 10D, 11D, and 12D have experienced some form of a fracture. And yet, through this template, which is the Star Nation's altars of creation, the 1313 stargates, the 1414 stargates, and the 1515 stargates that are grounded in the Anuhazi Native American people here in the North American continent. So the Anusazi and the Anuhazi Star Nations relatives have held this remembrance quite consistently. Of course, they were at Chaco Canyon in New Mexico. So that's why there's literally an arc of grace underneath the four corners here in the North American continent. And this is the reminder through those indigenous cosmologies, they've never broken that link to their star family, their star relatives. Now, for the Lakota people, that's white buffalo calf woman, the Pleiadian star ancestor. So this dispensation of grace begins with us receiving the support from our healthy star ancestors who realize that there's been a lot of conflict on this planet. However, there's also been a lot of conflict in the lower 12 dimensions, which is where you get the mythology of Star Wars, which isn't fantasy. And so this story of Rey Skywalker that heals the whole force, that mythology from the Star Wars series is ancestral healing, so that you have the reconciliation of the light side and the reconciliation with the dark side, with the prime Jedi. That's where we're going. And so there's twin flame, quantum divine union, if you've studied your Star Wars, is the fulfillment of the prime Jedi prophecy. And you can relate to these councils of your star grandmothers and your star grandfathers as the equivalent of the Jedi councils. And so, yes, we have known lots of versions of separation, not just in this world, in the worlds beyond. However, when all is said and done, Divine Mother, Father, Source Intelligence made sure that in the 1313, 1414, and 1515 stargates, it has never, ever dropped into any form of duality. It remains untouched to any of those other scenarios where it temporarily fractured or scattered into stark contrast. So there's this pre-existing divine union template from the quantum primordial Hieros Gamos parents of everything. And for them, the Laniakea supercluster is a grain of sand. So when we get present to awe and wonder, like the divine child, okay, you have it figured out. We will trust that. We've got to get present to the magnitude, though, of their divine plan for all their divine children. And that includes misbehaving, right? Negative high frequency trickster spirits that have run amok. And boy, have they run amok, right? It's like those naughty Romulans, anyways, the more aggressive, right, species. Another dragon sister in New Zealand calls it those that have, operated inside of the aggression template. And so we're retiring, it's like, bye-bye, you're going to retirement, any and all old aggression templates. And it is a retirement process of like your era or your age is done. So it's the collapsing of the old empire. And of course, all of this old wealth was associated with basically the black dragon and the black phoenix. So that's why we haven't had enlightened wealth on this planet yet, because it was being held predominantly, right, by those distortion aggression templates. So not only are we arising to this ancestral healing with our cosmic healthy relatives, minimum 13, 13, 14, 14, 15, 15 stargates, minimum. And that means that you can grieve what happened to you in 8D, you know, and do the Ho'oponopono process of, okay, this is all serving the greater mystery and my alchemical transfiguration. And I too can heal, not just from the wounds of the warfare across the cosmos. I too can also recover and transcend the wounds of warfare of my ancestors here on this planet. So no wound is so deep that it can't be touched by the blade of grace. So the arc of grace wields that piercing sword of Excalibur, because Excalibur is the consort of the Holy Grail. If you've studied the mythology, you'll know Excalibur was pulled out of the Holy Grail. So these Holy Grail lineages recognize that the chalice is the divine mother's womb, and Excalibur is the divine father's lingam. And they're a circuit, and they must work together. So it's the Excalibur of this interstellar consciousness, and that cuts through all of those karmic imprints that we've discussed before, your records of your old Akashic library, karmic imprints, that's in the database of your soul, and then the archetypal records for, all the scenarios of all of those versions of polarity that we've played out for thousands and thousands of years on the stage, right, of the great sagas, and then how all of the different ancestors have played their character parts on that theater. And so personal karmic imprints, ancestral karmic imprints, archetypal karmic imprints. But again, right, we have that tri-wave of that grace. So that tri-wave permeates and penetrates all three continuums. Therefore, even the worst wound of separation literally must bow and ultimately yield to the laws of grace. Like, okay, I may not understand how this is all reconciled back into quantum divine unions love. However, I guess grace is the love glue, the organizing principle that pulls it all back together. And that is this principle that the Holy Grail soul family lineage is well aware of, that the Tree of Life royal lineages are well aware of, and those that remember the twin flame, dragon and phoenix original temples of light in the name of the primordial, creator and creatrix of us all. This is deep in the mythic memory. Therefore, we delegate it in modern times to the legends, the great legends. Well, the great legends live inside of us because we lived it. It's just in amnesia. So when the royal families come back together again, starting 2024, 2025, 2026, the kings and queens, right, are coming back to go through that noble purification process and the healing of the wounded Fisher Kings and the healing of the wounded Grail Queens, right? That whole distortion of where Guinevere betrayed her beloved husband, that only happened in the lower teleplanes. That's not happening in 13th, 14th, 15th, right, dimensions of the Ein Sof, which is the top of the Tree of Life. There are levels of us that have never had what you would call fallen lineages. Does not exist.
Wow.
Never played itself out. And so if we can swim through this grace channel, right, we can reconnect with these fibers that have never known those artificial betrayals. And therefore, the only betrayal that we really can humbly admit to ourselves is, where did we betray ourselves? Because we misunderstood the original universal laws. So it's not a mistake. We didn't do anything wrong. There is an area where we allowed what you would call false contracts to trick us into veils of separation. So this arc of grace is also a legal dispensation of grace to cleanse and purify all of those manipulated contracts under great coercion. Like, wow, were you being tortured? And asked to accept a contract that if you weren't being tortured, you would have never said consent. Do you see what I mean? Misuse of power. So there's a lot of examples of, very sophisticated tactics, and they got a lot of souls tripped up into some pretty unpleasant scenarios. And so, I've helped a lot of people that have, deep wounds in the dragon body because, every single time they attempted to reintegrate with the dragon self, it was stuck in writhing misery in like 9D, when in some kind of draconian warfare. And I was like, oh my, rescue mission, right? For 9D dragon that's fallen right into it was the equivalent of the basement or the bardos or the prison. They were stuck in prison. So this level of soul retrieval is astronomical. I don't facilitate the soul retrieval. Divine Mother, Father, Source Code facilitates wherever your soul has gotten stuck in the illusion of separation in any of the 12 lower dimensions. We're here to help.
Wow. All right. Your words here in this presentation are such an activation of remembrance for us. It's a heart remembrance. It's within the body a remembrance. Our minds may have a challenge to like wrap our head around it, but we get it. I get it. And so we are being graced with this arc of grace, this legal dispensation of grace that
Yes.
literally is healing all of this. And so
And
is it,
leveling the playing field, healing and leveling the playing field.
yes.
Therefore, it's a gift. It levels the playing field because a lot of these contracts were under manipulation and
Oh,
coercion and
oh,
trickery.
yes. And we can see that. Boy, oh boy, we can see that. Yes. So these
So,
next years,
yes, if you're this beautiful beam of light and somebody says, oh, well, you're just going to go play out this false, right, temporary story of forgetting completely who you are. It's loads of fun. Okay. And right? And then you're going to go through this massive transformational process and you're going to receive all these gifts. And it's such a wonderful endeavor. You want to agree to that? Check the box right here. Escort you through that, right? Third door on the left. Okay. Did you read the fine print?
yeah,
That you'd have to reincarnate into a body that had hidden ancestral traumas of
yeah,
the yin yang.
oh,
Okay, this is where the Arc of Grace, which is Excalibur, they cheated.
ay, ay, ay.
Have you ever heard the Divine Mother roar? At certain levels, let's just be clear, and this is where power of divine union speaks. There's been some naughty, right? Cheating of the free will experiment, little bit of manipulation, no-nos. Okay.
Okay.
So this is the leveling of the playing field for where it's been hijacked. And that's the holy warrior, right? Holding Excalibur and saying, oh, I'm not playing this game anymore. And that's our opt out, Arc of Grace. So it's a safety net.
What a beautiful safety net. So is it safe to say, okay, I know we're going to have you talk about your course. There's a beautiful course. Not right now. I've got another question for you. But I want to point out that there's more work that people can do with you. There's more exploration that people can do with you, more understanding, because you've got a whole wealth of an internal library from the perfect earth that you came from in the future, the quantum earth in the future that you came from. That's so beautiful.
Came back from.
Came back from, back from. Yeah.
Yes.
And
So traveled back from the future to assist at this time. So my deepest apologies if I use terms that are unfamiliar to you. Guess what? Your generations in the future know exactly what I'm saying because it's
wow,
already,
yeah.
right? Like available and accessible for them. And they didn't have to come in, right? With the ancestral trauma that you did. So that's the only reason why people don't relate to my verbiage, my terminology, because I'm literally speaking 3 generations from the future and bringing it back into this dispensation of grace in the now. Like, how do we get this thing, right? Recalibrated to quantum cosmic Christos Christas consciousness, not just dragon phoenix, right? Not just the lover, but also the beloved. So everything is going to be a twin circuit that goes through the dance of divine union and forms a tri-wave. So the
Yeah.
whole concept of every version of the old sacred marriage is also being retired.
Yes, we're actually in our reality, in our 3D, 4D reality, we're seeing that on a great scale, actually on the planet. All right, so there's a couple questions. One would be this legal dispensation of grace. It's through the divine union within us, like you've described in this episode. Does it happen without our awareness? Or is it the curiosity of us opening to that joy that facilitates it to happen? We can't just like we can't just like keep doing the old. We have to somehow shift our perspective to be open to this, to be open to the beautiful inner earth beings underneath our feet. Wow. See, there's so many questions. So we can't just sit back and say, oh, it's just the arc of grace. We have to take action. Like you said, how do we do this?
Jean-Luc Picard had this beautiful Star Trek term, engage.
Engage.
Enact and engage.
Okay.
Therefore, these noble delegates, the 333,000 delegates of the Holy Grail, royal soul family, the 444,000 royal delegates of the Tree of Life lineage family, they've had a lot of lifetimes where they've had a lot of initiations. So they know the name of the game is initiation into being. Show up for your initiations into being. Now, what does an archetypal oracle serve as, right? The conduit for the initiations into being. And so it's time for us to gather and receive our soul cluster group initiations. That's why I don't do as much one-on-one sessions anymore. Now it's more in the sacred circle, the sacred hoop, because each of us is a master. I don't have clients. People that find me are already avatars, even though they may have fallen asleep to the sleeping giant within them. And when they remember who they are with my support, they weep tears of joy because they're like, how could I have played so small? Why would I like de-evolve? And I said, safety, my child. Okay. Those ancestral wounds run deep. Okay. So your soul is all ready to completely admit who you divinely are. And the ancestral, right? Safety mechanisms of the conditioning and the patterning and the programming is fear of death.
Mhm.
So if you're afraid of being persecuted for your spiritual gifts, do you think you're going to come out of the gate as the awakened 777,000 ready to receive their arc of grace initiatory rites of passage? Not exactly. Okay. A little bit of support is required, right, to get the juices flowing. So I don't facilitate any healing because the people that find me are already awakened masters inside. And just like the Harry Potter, they just didn't know that they were the Harry Potters, right? Or Lyra in the Golden Compass. Now, these are golden avatars that went into a dormancy for safekeeping. And it's the unlocking of the greatness that dwells within them. You don't need to heal anything, okay? We have purification processes to complete, so our vehicles are congruent with who we divinely are. That's the vertical divine marriage, so you can upgrade your vessel, right, to be a high enough frequency to actually be the chalice holy grail for who you truly are. And for that arc of grace, tree of life, to just take up full residence inside of your skin. Like we remembered when we actually incarnated in those very advanced civilizations, which predate Lemuria and predate Mu. The original star knowledge altar of creation is a minimum of 72,000 years ago. They have it carbon dated when they found the symbols, right? The 22 symbols, the 11 male and the 11 female. It's a whole other conversation of the Native American heritages to their star relatives. 72,000 years ago is the first, right? Star knowledge bundle for the earth and her people. And that's the 1111 star knowledge altar of creation. And so we start moving through, right? The 11, 11, 12, 12, 13, 13, 14, 14, 15, 15. And then we start getting that momentum of like, this is really a miraculous turning point through this already pre-scheduled dispensation of grace, that my only responsibility is just to get in the game. So where are people hiding out, right? And not choosing to be the conduit for the miracle to take place through us, where most people are stuck in their spiritual intellect of who they know themselves to be. Oh, yes, I'm a reincarnation of King Arthur. Great. So what are you doing with that remembrance? Okay. Are you walking the talk? Are you impeccable, right? With your actions, choices, and behaviors at the level of an exalted intergalactic Grail King in action? My brothers, they're not there yet. You see my point? They may know who they are on the inside. Are they walking it in leadership and stewardship, right? To bring the new systems change through water, through food, through finance, right? Through education, right? Through basic, sacred sexuality teachings, tiny, tiny little details like that. So the men and women must rise and retake their rightful leadership positions and not stay safe on the sidelines as, oh, I'm a healer. Okay, you're hiding out in an archetypal niche that's comfortable for you, but that doesn't necessarily mean that we as a alliance, guardian alliance, is actually taking the brass ring and stepped up to challenge the distortions of power that we see worldwide. That's not something for any of us to individually embark upon. Okay. Yes, that would be insane for any of us to challenge, right? What's not working. In this restructuring of the galvanization of the guardian alliances that even your network alone represents, look at all of the faculty members that you've cultivated and called together. You could say that you could have like a New Earth One in-person leadership summit with all of the presenters and all of the gifts and talents that all of these awakened avatars bring to that gathering spot on the planet. And we ask, right, the quantum unified field of the morphogenetic miracle of all life to turn us all on together. What do you think we're actually capable of, quote unquote, out there? The in-breath and the out-breath. So this is a call to leadership, not as another spiritual archetype, been there, done that, right? Make a great living, kind of, stay on the sidelines, get on the court. Gods and goddesses, get on the court now. So this may be like, whoa, may feel a little confrontational. So that's that black jaguar for those of you that love Wakanda forever. Okay, this is Mama Galactic Black Jaguar Queen and King. Bring that level of your royal divine presence to the playing field. And you can in this incarnation be all that you're designed to be, literally through this gift of the synthesis of all your lifetimes. What's the result of an arc of grace? The alchemical synthesis of all your lifetimes, all of your divine gifts, all of your divine pieces and parts, because this divine marriage womb space is fertile enough to feed all of your light circuits and all of your light pathways, to wake yourself up from playing small so you can get in the real game and be the archetypal king and queen, phoenix and dragon, emperor and empress steward, right? To walk the people out of scarcity, to walk the people out of the illusion of lack and limitation. Very similar to what, of course, my walk-in sister, Shakina, formed Twin Ray, is a demonstration of with her beloved Sananda. So they have come out of the closet, like, yes, we're galactic royalty in a human body. So do you see what I mean? There's many of us, and look what they're doing out of Ashland, Oregon. Do you see what I mean? In the restoration of the great golden civilizations of light. And they're just a couple. Look what they're doing. Do you see what I'm saying? So what if a council of all these beloveds, right, divine union counterparts, all gather and aggregate? That's, 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years from now. It begins, though, in 2024 of us going through this reconciliation process of restoring holy wholeness, so we can call in those beloved divine reflections and twin ray mirrors to shepherd this rebalance of power as a cooperative alliance. This is a leadership alliance. Therefore, this is not an individual awakening process. The equivalent to it is Dr. Donald Emstein, who did network spinal analysis, and everyone was running the gate of all that Kundalini energy undulating in one ballroom. The whole room, right, was running all of that life force. We want to talk about, orgasmic entrainment. And it's orgasmic light waves, not orgasmic energy or tantric energy with a person in front of you. It can express that way. But like Shakina and Sananda, they don't do physical coitus, but they run the rays of rapture, right? And they have their clothes on.
Mhm.
You see what's possible? So this experience of allowing our multidimensional consciousness to make love to our quantum awakening bodies. It is a tantric process, and it's the equivalent of your soul making love to your body. The soul is vibrating in multidimensionality. The ancestral healing is the repairing of where your body doesn't trust that. Rion Katie and Gillian Porter speak of dissolving the body armor, right? And their hieroscomos lineages. So if you can feel all the beloveds that I hang out with, they're so gifted. And guess what? It's going to take all of us. So I am a resource smorgasbord. So there's my gifts, and yet my gifts are positioned within all my other incredible cohorts. So if you feel me speaking today, feel the we of dissolve the body armor that's in your blind spot, that doesn't allow your multidimensional soul to make love to your body. We call it trusting your body with your spirit. If that's not happening yet, you have ancestral healing that needs attention. And there's nothing wrong with you, because it's too ingrained in those transgenerational, right, cellular memory patterns. So who cares if your starseed self said, I'm going to incarnate into that bloodline and I'm going to purify this because I know who I am. And then 37 years later, you're feeling humbled to your core. Not your fault.
Yes.
This is the assistance of this arc of grace support structure that the star ancestors would like to make the process easier. So it's not my course, it's theirs, if that translates.
We're excited for this. We're excited for the support. I think everybody watching and listening, we all have that ancestral trauma. And we're not even aware of it. And this is that beautiful work and the beautiful gift that awaits us by doing this work, by taking this initiation, by unlocking ourselves, unlocking the greatness within us. We all want this. We really, really do. And we want to be the royal beings in our life. We absolutely do. Restoring ourselves to holiness and stepping into the beautiful leadership roles. Everyone watching a program like this or this program is a New Earth leader, not. So the
Yes.
ancestral healing that can be assisted with the divine grace, the arc of grace, is so beautiful. And you're here to support. So now tell us about these classes, because we're in. We all want this. Absolutely. Yes.
Well, imagine there's this medicine wheel of all these archetypes. And in the direction of the east, we have the lover. In the direction of the south, right, we have the medicine man or the high priestess. In the direction of the west, we have the accomplished holy warrior and high priestess. And in the direction of the north, we have the grandmother, grandfather, the king and the queen. So this ancestral healing is that archetypal healing of all of these 8 archetypes, the masculine and feminine lover at the gate of the rising sun, and the masculine feminine wizard, and magi and magician and medicine, man. In the south, the priest and the priestess, and in the west, the holy warriors, the paladins, the warrior monks, the guardians of the grail. And then in the north, the regal designation of that royal majesty in the king and queen. And through this constellation of the restoration of these 8 mature, healthy human archetypes, which is our minimum baseline functionality, then we can explore where in the maternal and paternal ancestries that has shut down from some form of hang on, it's not going to be in English. Isodis askiske zotopaktige de vakor kotiarna naije sukoparatatis dodektar katianada, like the woven thread of all of the cumulative occurrences of that same wound. So there's a signature of the sacred wound that they'd like to trace. What's the core wound in the maternal ancestry? What's the core wound in the paternal ancestry? And how might these core wounds in the sperm side and the egg side also be an echo of some of that galactic karma that I came in with to resolve on this planet? So wow, this sounds like a really great deal. I can address all levels simultaneously. Because the human family that I incarnated into is having some of the same struggles that some of these other cosmic conflicts have also been, right, working out. So this is where we allow these multidimensional ancestral wounds to then purify through quantum grace. Take responsibility right? But the unfinished business of the core maternal and paternal wound in your human bloodline, and yet be aware that this is also simultaneously addressing those other issues that you came in with from other realities. And yes, it takes huge bravery. I'm not saying that this is a piece of cake. Most people have a little bit of trepidation of like, uh-oh, if I train with her, this is the real deal. Yes, it is the real deal because it means facing that pain body with this love and grace divine marriage presence that can penetrate those ancient pain bodies. Of course, they're all speaking to me all at once here, so I'm simplifying it. They're so excited, right, to be of assistance. And so they can assist each and every one that shows up, kind of like that quantum medbed. But the kind of like ancestral healing from a galactic medbed. Because the levels of the purification here in this earthen plane is just the first layer. Then you're also purifying that cosmic ancestral karma, and also what you would call the issues, unresolved issues for your soul group. Now, most of us have the soul groups that are in the 144,000 range, right? So great, you've already purified for yourself. Is your soul cluster free yet? If it's not, then we're all a part of that 144,000 soul cluster. So then more layers, right? So they know this. And so how do we make this more fluid and graceful? By taking the initiates back into the royal throne room itself of the Great Mother, Great Father, source code, energy. And that's that pearl that you see between the phoenix and the dragon. So they can imbue and infuse us with that royal pearl, which is like the elixir or the amrita or the salve of that grace that can then begin to dissolve, transmute, and transfigure those multiple layerings. It normally would take people like 57 lifetimes to cover this much content. So do you see the accelerated? Why take 57 lifetimes to clean this up, or 57 timelines? So this is actually quantum timeline therapy, if you want to lovingly, right? And grace pointing, all of those rather cantankerous timelines where everything went wacko and you've never recovered since. So if you have any aspects, right, that have gone into like flying under the radar, then you've got all these incredible abilities and you're not publicly expressing them because you're waiting for the signal that it's safe to come out of hiding. This is your Phoenix and Dragon Pearl royal signal. And we have the royal family emblem, which is the artwork that we've brought through so people can see the royal family crest that made this promise to the entire human race. Like, we've got your back. So the primordial mother, father, source code in the royal throne room has got your back and is here to advocate on your behalf. And imagine them, right, with the sword of the divine mother and the sword of the divine father, just neutralizing all of those false contracts right and left, and it just dropping at your feet and your jaws just like, is it really possible to accept this much love? right? And a rather, highly concentrated window of human time, because this is all going to coalesce before what we would call Earth Day. So we all come together, and the inaugural ceremonial launch is the eve of Earth Day. So this is that 4/22/24 Stargate. And those that are attracted to this are a part of this 777,000 that agreed to be conduits for the ancestral path cutting. And so that ancestral path cutting means that you get to say no to those paradigms of separation and reclaim that royal sovereignty and saying yes to your sovereignty. So a 7777 is releasing it 7 generations back, releasing it 7 generations forward, releasing it 7 parallel dimensions, right? And that quantum parallel gets even more amazing. 7 octaves, 7 quantum octaves, 7777. Now, all that's in the article that we published for the 11/11/22 Stargate back in 2022. So you don't have to understand anything that I'm saying. We have this beautiful article on Awaken that'll walk you through that whole concept. And those brave, noble guardians of this original arc of grace, this is for you. This is your time to graduate from all that you agreed in your pre-birth planning to transmute on behalf of the greater good of the whole, and your grace pass, so you can take the accelerated fast track to the real Hogwarts. So I'm kind of like a female Dumbledore. And it's the divine union magic that's leading the course, not me. Quite literally, I'm their surrogate divine child. So it's divine mother, father, source code energy. Then I am the emanation of the divine child. And then we get this party started.
We want to come to this party and get it started with you. Absolutely. Thank you so much. So beautiful, so supportive. I'm really excited for it. I know that so many on this journey, on this path, are ready for this. We see it time and time again. So many are like, why? In the past couple of years, we've felt, yes, okay, I'm going to step up. I'm going to step up. But there's so many of us that are still hiding. And this explains it. It's ancestral trauma. So we are going to become whole again. We don't need to take 57 lives to do it. We can do it in this year. We can do it in these sessions with you, in working with you. You are like a mentor for all of us. We're all ready. I would welcome everyone watching and listening. Invest in yourself in this way. I'm really excited for it. Aren't we tired of holding ourselves back and playing small and being fear and then being triggered by other people's fear, or the fear that's being generated by that matrix that we're still a part of that is collapsing? We're ready for the acceleration. We truly
Yes.
are.
And the caveat is that even if you don't self-identify as coming from what you would call conservative reservation, how many people are actually on their destiny path, which would make this their final incarnation? So we
Yes.
have a lot of gifted, talented, amazing pillars in our communities, okay? And what they're saying is, are you on your destiny path timeline? If you're on your destiny path timeline, my child, this is your last incarnation. This is that Dharma, this golden Dharma. So when we are talking about, if you're already, I don't live in fear. I'm not in my small self. Okay, are you on your destiny path timeline? And that's something that is the original source instructions for you from the dawn of your creation. So this is integrity and impeccability to the codes of your original covenant with Source. Are you at that level of embodying your original divine codes? So these are the master key codes, right? For those leaders that maybe have already transcended a lot of the fear programs. And yet, in all naked honesty, if you go before Mother, Father, Source, primordial origins, have you fully stepped up to your highest destiny or dharma? The answer is no. This is how we're here to support you to overcome that resistance that even great spiritual teachers have, because they're still playing the archetype of the guru and they're not in council structure yet, right? Which is shared power. So that's why people are like, well, I don't want to be that king and queen archetype, because they equate it with the old false guru archetype. Like, oh, I'll just be this, spiritual ego of this, like elite spiritual, whatever. No, 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 no. You misunderstand. Wake up to the greatness of your power and come back into the guardianship alliance of all the kings and all the queens being reunited around the round table of light. We've never done this before. You normally can't get all these kings and queens to honor each other in that level of a cooperative. If we had this structure truly in place, okay, do you think the old power system could be doing to the human race, right? What it's sequencing? The answer is no. We must get better organized. This is a call to action, even to spiritual leaders that have not fully completed the royal twin flame rites of passage that would elevate you into that space of this exalted servant, king and queen of the original prime directive for the whole planet. I will, to will, thy will, as it is in heaven, so it is on earth. And that you bow, because that's going to birth the whole species into sapient divinus. Are we serving that birth canal? This is their twin flame, arc of grace, that bursts the human race into its legacy of freedom from the illusion of separation. This has never been done before. And all hands on deck. So they beseech you to hear them. This invitation is as pure as it gets, and we have what it takes. Go the distance with each other, not alone. Each of us bringing that togetherness. We get it done with each other. And then the whole planet goes, whoa, we got some superpowers down here. You see what I mean? So come and play with your superpowers.
Wow. You've moved us. I'm on board. I'll be joining. No, seriously, I think every person, if you can do it, do this for yourself. Step up. This is our knowing of knowing. This is our knowing of knowing why we came to the planet. We all know our mission. You will be assisting through the grace of your mother, father, source code that's working through you as that divine child. You will be assisting all of us in this great way where it's very accelerated. I can see the world of these leaders. It's literally why I do what I do. And everyone watching, this is what you do. This is why you watch things like this and go for this. So I love this. It's really exciting in a way. And these next few years is a huge gateway for us to do this work. So let's do it. Let's join Devi and get our leadership game on. All hands on deck. We can do it. We can. can. I know that other spiritual teachers who've stepped back, one very prominent, Lisa Transcendence Brown, you remind me of her. And I'm sure other people watching and listening are recalling or recollecting memories of Lisa's words with you. Well, she has stepped back because she's waiting for all of us to step
Yeah.
up into these roles that you described today. This is how we do it. And you're here assisting us. So everyone, let's get busy. We hope you join us, and we're excited for it. We're excited for your journey into this
Yes.
of the greatness that you are, the royalty that you are. Thank you, Debbie.
Yes.
I really am. And the healing with our soul cluster, with all of it, is just is the greatest gift that we can give ourselves and the planet and humanity. So when we look out and we can get all edgy because of what we see in the dark agenda and what they're doing in this planet, let's just channel that into this, right? Channel it into this solution energy, heart-based energy, us. We can do this. I love it. Thank you. All
We
right.
can do this in the name of the original primordial divine union. There's the mantra. We can do this in the name of the original primordial divine union, which lovingly, right, can be your code of the phoenix and dragon rising within you. Take back your divine power, right use of divine power and service to love and grace. Love, power, grace, trinitized. Holy smokes.
Yes.
Planet's gonna wake up.
Write that down on a sticky note and put the triangle of love, power, grace, and you can look at that every moment of every day and feel the energy of that. Wow. And outside my window, we have nature speaking to me outside my window. It's a beautiful bird saying, yes, yes, yes. Okay.
So deep bows to you and your entire quantum communications network, because you
Yes.
have, right, this incredible community, common unity, and we just love your family so, so much.
We are uplifted, we are shifted. And again, the other episodes in this series also point to everything that we discussed today in different ways. And that's what I love about it. And we have shifted, absolutely. Love, power, and grace. Reverend Devi, thank you for this memory and this call to engage. Thank you.
Mwah.
Thank you, everyone, for watching. We are excited for you on your journey. So again, if you're interested in this, your heart knows, your soul knows. Just scroll down on this webpage. You'll find all the details, or wherever you're watching or listening to this program, there's a link in the description box. We really hope that you join us and step up and join the light force, the leadership force of light. Thank you. Thank you, Devi. Final thoughts as we say goodbye.
Please give yourself a congratulations ahead of the curve and bring that future self-congratulatory celebration into this now moment that the heart of hearts has already won. Here we go.
Thank you. We love you. Namaste.
Mwah.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
This has been a presentation of New Earth One Network, your home for New Earth living. Access information, education, and videos on living from the heart in Unity Consciousness. Visit newearth1.com.